Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Maybe getting some rain here soon. It's in the area. There's some pop-up thunder showers. It might come our way. It's looking like it could, but I don't believe it until I see it around here, because the other day, about a mile, less than a mile north of us, got about a half inch of rain with a pop-up thunder shower, and we got nothing. Not even a single drop. So, we'll just wait and see. This Olympics thing, this is not the video, so just bear with me. I just today saw some of the opening ceremony stuff. Oh my goodness. This world, the Western civilization is so cooked. It's done. It's done. And I'm to the point that I would just completely fall apart and collapse. I know every time I say that, someone's like, oh, what about all these people that's going to die because of it? It's what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. And God said, don't turn around and look back. Don't mourn them. It's sick. One of them, it's a bunch of drag queens and, I don't know, women. I think some of them were actually women, all doing this portrayal of the Last Supper. And then some other musical talent, a dude with a big full beard, long hair, and a very skimpy women's clothing, dancing and prancing around, like a woman. Just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And that's Western civilization. And it's becoming harder and harder to be patriotic American and Russia's bad, when Russia, and I'm not pro-Russian, I'm not saying that they're good, they do everything right, but at least on paper they have condemned all of this evilness out there. So I don't know, it's sick. Anyways, with all of that and more that's happening, there's also lots of like still chaos and fires and stuff in France because of the Olympics and the pro-Palestinian stuff, and there's more and more in the news about suspicion of a terrorist attack at the Olympics brought on by Iran. So I don't know if they're trying to create some kind of false flag to go to war against them or not, but I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, with everything that's going on, like I've been telling you, we got to stop just consuming the information about it and not doing anything about it. We have to get out and work. We have to get out and do stuff. Get off the couch. You can't move mountains if you don't get up off the couch. And so I thought about just some suggestions of, if I were to either begin or midway be a prepper, what are the things right now, looking forward in the immediate future, do I think that you probably should be looking at? Or doing, acquiring, whatever. So I thought I'd just run down some things. Most of these I've thought about today. Some of them I may just, as they pop in my head, I might just mention it. One of them, and they're in no order, they're not in any kind of order of importance. They're random. One of them that comes to mind is money. If you keep most of your money in the bank, you might want to rethink that. It might be a good idea to try to start keeping just enough money in the bank to pay the bills that come out of your bank account. And if you're able to have any excess out of that, keep it at home. I think it's totally okay to keep it, some of it or a lot of it in cash. Even if the dollar fails, there will be a period of time that the dollar will still have some value to it. But it's okay to also have other things, gold, silver, brass, copper, bullets, that kind of stuff. But lead, copper and lead and brass, those things are important. But I wouldn't keep a whole lot in the bank. I wouldn't. And I'm no financial advisor, but that's what I would do. I wouldn't keep a whole lot in the bank. I don't have a whole lot, so it's not a big deal for me, but I wouldn't keep a whole lot in the bank. If things go crazy, we could see terrorist attacks here, which could be in the form of grid attacks or cyber attacks that affect the grid. So I would be thinking about and coming up with an immediate plan, if you haven't done one already, on what to do if the grid goes down. How are you going to exist? What is it that you absolutely have to have? For our plan is number one, our plan is a kind of a fallback plan to not need very much. We don't use a lot of electricity now, and so we, we have things set in place that if we have to, we can do without all or most electricity. A lot of people really put a lot of focus on, switching over to solar now or in the future, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing that, but it's still technology that could fail. And so if your plan doesn't include a way to just not need it, then I think that's a weak plan. So, we can do things. Of course, we have that creek behind us. It's spring fed. It's always cool. We can cool things in that. Burying things. You don't even have to have a professional cellar. There's ways to bury food to keep it cool. Preserving things, drying things, all that kind of stuff. People preserved food for long periods of time, long before refrigeration ever happened. As far as keeping cool, that's a thing here in the Ozarks. It's hot and muggy a lot sometimes. And back in the old days, they would go and get big buckets or barrel of creek water, put it in under the shade trees so that it would stay fairly cool during the day. And they'd take all their rags and stuff that were extra and they'd throw in there. And throughout the day, you'd go over and you'd pick one up and you'd wrap it around your neck, cool your face off and have it on you. And when that dried out or warmed up, you'd throw it back in there and you'd pull another one out. That helps a lot. There are other ways, and a lot of it's just learning to tolerate stuff. You just learn to tolerate the heat. We as a family try to spend a lot of time outside when it's hot and when it's cold, so that it's not such a shock to us. We have a level of tolerance to it, just like people used to have. So I would do that. Now, as far as like solar systems, I get people all the time still. I mean, it's been years now, and I still get people all the time asking about my opinions on one of these solar generators, which they're not solar generators. Those little boxes, you can get them where they're small, and you can get big ones where it's a battery and it's got an inverter and you can run stuff off of it. I'm not a big fan of those things. I have just about every company that makes them have contacted me over the last 3 or 4 years offering to send me a free one if I talk about it and everything, and I've turned every one of them down. I'm not that impressed with them. They have a purpose, but I don't think that their purpose really fits in with prepping in the sense of what we're doing. If your power goes out for a few days, a few hours, maybe, a couple of days because, someone cut a power line when they were doing maintenance, or a car crashed into a telephone pole, knocked the power out, that kind of stuff. Yeah, they can keep things going. But, in most cases, if your power goes out for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, your stuff in your freezer and refrigerator is going to be fine. So, and the thing is, most of those systems aren't going to run a lot of stuff more than, a few hours, at the most a few days. Now, you could say, well, you can go in, you can get the kind that you add another one and add another one, you get a bunch of solar panels. Well, when you start spending that kind of money, you might as well just look at an actual solar system, because you're going to get more power, storage, and usage for your money. I don't actually own one of those things, and the reason is because I can make my own, and I have. I have made a couple of my own. They're not fancy. There's guys that you can watch YouTube videos that show you how to make them. And so I would just defer to them because mine aren't fancy. They're not pretty looking, but they're effective. And so I just make my own. So I'm not a big fan of those. I'm not telling you not to get one, but they're very expensive. And I think people put too much money into stuff that, I don't know. I mean, it's just something that could fail. And you're probably better off trying to figure other ways, or just invest into some good batteries and good solar panels and good, maybe some power inverters or something, and just build your own system. It's not that hard. You can watch some videos. You can probably find someone that can help you that knows what they're doing. Medical stuff, I'm always pushing that. Medicines, herbal medicines. There's a lot of things right now, the time of the year that you could be out harvesting. You should probably do that. If things really fall apart, getting medicines may be a problem. Remember that about 80 to 85% of all the over-the-counter and prescription medications in this country come from China or India. And the ones that come from India are manufactured there, but the raw materials, majority of those come from China. So 80 to 85% of all medications in this country come from China. And so if it was a war that starts up that's involving China, those could potentially dry up. And so we need to have stuff on hand. You need to have medical stuff on hand. If things fall apart and the grid goes down, you're going to be outside more. You're going to be doing things outside more. You're going to be, guarding your home. You're going to be working your gardens more. You're going to be doing more physical things, which means that there's a greater increase that you could injure yourself. So you need to have the medical supplies on hand to handle that and the knowledge of how to handle that. Food right now, it's certainly not cheap, but it's probably cheaper than it's going to be 3 months from now or 6 months from now. So, if you find things on sale, canned food, go out and buy it. Most canned food will last at least 5 years if properly stored. And canned meat typically lasts longer, usually a couple of years or more longer. It could last longer, but usually 5 years is a good minimum that it will last. And so if you could buy that kind of stuff, maybe some dry goods, and this is assuming you don't have as much food as you want. You could, for not a whole lot of money, not as much as you think, even now, you could come up with 3 months of food for your family. Now, that's not great food. It's not even greatly nutritious food, but it's food, some beans, some rice, some oatmeal, some canned foods, maybe some canned tuna for some protein. It's not great. You're going to get tired of it, but it'll keep you alive. And so if you don't have a good food supply, at least try to get you a 3 months food supply. It's been a while. It's been at least a year, so prices have changed. But about a year ago, I got on Walmart because I figure that's a good baseline. Most people have a Walmart. I got on Walmart.com and I figured up for a family of 4 what they would need if you bought those items I just mentioned for a month's supply. And I was coming up with somewhere between $200 and $300 for 1 month's food supply if you bought that stuff. So, you're talking easily less than $1,000 for 3 months of food to keep you or keep a family of 4 going. So that's something you should definitely have. For every person in your household, you should have at least 5 cases of bottled water. Those cases you get at Walmart or the grocery store that are $5 or $6. For every person in your household, you should have at least 5 of those cases put away. That's something you should do. Fuel. You should keep your gas tanks in your vehicles, diesel tanks, whatever, fuel tanks, no less than a half tank. And make sure they're topped off. If you have extra gas cans, fill them up. It's going to last at least 6 months in a gas can. So, 4 or 5 months later, if things aren't changing, start using that gas and then refilling it with fresh new gas. So taking the gas can and pouring it in your vehicle and you buy some more to replace it. Instead of putting gas in your gas tank of your vehicle from the gas station, that's how you rotate it. These are some things that I would seriously be thinking about. Guns and ammo kind of is a given. The ammunition is reasonably priced now. I've seen some really, really good gun deals. Palmetto State Armory. There's a link down in the description below. They have some really good deals going on right now. If a war breaks out, those prices are going to go up because there's going to be so much material being shifted to a war effort that even though it may the round that the ammunition that you're buying may not be a military ammunition, but the raw materials used to make that will be used predominantly for military stuff. So prices will go up. So if your stockpile isn't where it needs to be, you should probably be working on that. These are just some basics. Definitely, tools, things like that. Those are kind of common given stuff. But I would recommend at least having a 3-month plan. And I mean, it should be more, but at minimum, a 3-month plan of what you're going to do to survive. If you're in the city or in a suburban area, can you survive in your home for 3 months? Do you need to go out and buy plywood and cut it so that it fits over your windows so that if things happen, you can quickly put it over your windows? Keep that out in your garage or something. But can you survive if you had to for 3 months in your home? That's the mentality. I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm saying that's what you should be doing. What would it take for you to survive, you and your family to survive for 3 months in your home? And that's kind of what you should be thinking. If you do that, you're gonna set yourself up on a really good path, and of course, just continue preparing beyond that 3 months. And then add another 3 months, and then another 3 months. The next thing you know, you've got a year. But I'm not saying go out and do all this stuff now, but I would recommend that you start working pretty aggressively at making sure you have immediate necessary things on hand in case something happens, because we're definitely in that arena that something could happen at any moment, and you may not have that much time. You may not. The grid could go down, a cyber attack could happen, and I mean, we've already had cyber attacks and stuff happen recently. It could be much bigger, and you wouldn't have any warning. So I would be doing that stuff pretty aggressively and very soon, because you just never know what's going to happen. And right now, everything is elevated. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.